And sometimes you would even see like older people encourage young people and say, oh, now that you're married, you don't want these young unmarried people coming to your house because your husband is clearly a goat without a wing. So that if they show up, you don't want them tempting your husband.
Yeah. You should mind the damn business. After everything I tell you people, I can almost tell people the color of my pants.
You need to actually be exposed to see what your gender is capable of. You know, like every time I open TikTok, come do braids of 400k with me.
Okay, I'm ashamed. Beat me.
Do your work.
Okay, I'm ashamed.
I don't believe that non-traditional men in this Lagos are more than 2.
Maybe 3.5.
Let's give them 5. They don't pass 5. They're not more than 5. So the thing is, shine your eyes well at the end. The end. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I have a highly requested guest here. She's back. Jola is back. So today we're going to be doing a Q&A. I already posted on Instagram and we got a lot of entries to the point that this is the first Q&A that I've ever done where people sent me emails after the post.
Really?
Yes, people sent me emails after the post had expired saying, please Dimma, I missed it yesterday. Please, here is my entry. Or even send DMs, because I know that a couple of people also send DMs saying the story box is gone, but please, if you people
so
can,
cute.
please answer my questions. So I'm trying to explain to people that I'm with Beyonce. This is a Beyonce of Q&A. So we're really excited. Let's just get right into it. We want to answer at least 20 questions, not more. So Jola will also be handling the questions today. I've told you guys that when I have guests, I actually love it when they pick the questions out because they're looking at it with a fresh eye. An eye that I don't typically look at questions with. So let's do this.
Okay, cool. I'm going to avoid a lot of all these your fiancé.
Do you know how to do a relationship Q&A? Like when I did like the last Q&A, because you know another Q&A came up after yours. And I remember when I said it, I was like, yeah, today is a Q&A. I was just even recovering from a flu. So I was like, yeah, I asked for a Q&A, but this is looking like it's going to be a relationship Q&A, and I'm going to indulge you people. So it makes sense because it's also the first Q&A that I have done after, like, so, but I'm excited. So let's just answer questions that Jola will pick out.
Okay. So this person says, how do you do networking without feeling like a user?
That's a very good question.
Yeah, it is. So I was talking to Kamsi, who's also a YouTuber, about how people, like, you aspire to something and then you see the person that's at the top of your career, but is at the top in a way that's accessible, and people just want to feel like that they want to have that person in their network. And I think it's not the best way to go about this.
No, I get it completely, because in situations like that, like I think that you've also said, like, networking should always not be like from the bottom up, like side as well. There's so many colleagues that I feel like, or people who are on your level, that it will come across as more organic when you're actually trying to network with those people. Whereas most of the time when you're trying to network up, like, the person up sometimes is also trying to figure out whether or not they're doing you a favor, trying to also figure out how to fit you into their own content in a way that makes sense to their audience. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And people also think that sometimes successful collaborations only happen when it's like that. But when you're also networking like sideways, you people stand a chance to actually exchange audience already. Like, they have a good amount of people who are paying attention to them, who will actually just transfer, and for you to the same thing. People always think about it and think, oh, it's all the people I stand to gain from this person who has all these followers. Whereas when it's also sideways, there's a very good exchange happening.
I mean, even outside of the content creation world, if you are like a hairstylist, you are gunning to work with like the top makeup artist, but the top makeup artist is getting offers from tons and tons of people who are in the same, who are on her level, but in the hair industry. Think about people who you think are doing really great work that are around where you are, and look for someone who wants to be a director or work in film that's on the same level you guys are, to talk about like upgrading the type of content you're putting out. Just work with models who are on that same level too, because you guys are all looking to build in the same way, so you have the
Yeah.
same amount of time and resources,
Yeah.
and it means that everybody is invested in the same way.
Yeah.
Any other way, you feel like you're chasing somebody
Yeah.
for validation, you're chasing somebody
Yeah.
for work,
Yeah.
and then they now even have to fit you into everything else that
Yeah,
they're
because
doing.
they're also thinking about it in a way like, do we like, how do we actually make it look organic, right? And it's so important because a lot of creators are very, very particular about like, I also don't want it to look like I'm doing this in a way that is somehow, you know. So I like what she said, honestly. Yeah.
Okay, I said we weren't going to do marriage question, but I found this question very funny. This person says, "Hi Jola, with Dimma about to marry, do you have fears that your friendship might die down?"
Hey!
She cannot go anywhere. The husband they borrow him. Now we get them. The husband they borrow him. Now we get them. I'm not joking, but do you know why this question is important? I think in our culture, it's so common. Like in Nigerian culture, there's just a thing about like once your friend marries, they should almost like once they marry, you people are not the same again. If you're still single or unmarried, or once they have a baby, you people are not the same again. Almost like the friendship
to the point where society
to
sometimes even encourages it. So I did a whole Q&A on friendships at a point this year, and this was a recurring type of question. Like people kept on asking, can you be friends with married people? Can married friends be friends with look, it's actually something that gives people sleepless nights. And I also understand, and I remember in that particular Q&A, I really I'm going to have it linked in the description box, because I tried to really answer it from different angles. And I was like, there are things that a married person might be going to, especially when children are involved, that will require grace, and you have to just be a lot more patient. But that does not now mean that, because at the point where I was answering it, I was this Q&A, the marriage Q&A and the friendship Q&A, I wasn't even engaged at the time, but I was trying to stress that a lot of my friends were married, and I'll be like, so I should be friendless because those people are
especially
married.
at our age. I mean, I'm now even learning. There's some things that were just quite frankly a lack of knowledge. I think people are just saying what they know. Like, I'm in my 30s now, so some of my friends are married. Some of them done the divorce safe. Then some are, do you understand? Some are entering second marriage. Some have unfortunately become widows or widowers. Like, people's lives are very, very different. And the friendship was not based on the category they take. It's like a personality thing.
Yeah, and as it should be.
And so it's even making accommodation for each other, actually, that is really important. It's spending time, is like being, so for instance now, I don't expect Dimma's priorities to remain the same completely, but it doesn't mean we're going to cut each other out of our lives. If I message Dimma like, oh, how far can we hang out, and she says she has something to do, it's not for me to take it personal. It's to now say, oh, when are you going to do your nails? Maybe we should go and do that together, or just be deliberate about maintaining
the bond that you guys have.
You
and
know.
I think that's people also need to understand that the primary thing I think that should be centered when it comes to friendship is actually your humanness. What is it that connects you people, and not status and how much things change. And like I was even saying, sometimes like society actually encourages this. There's somebody that I know that I fell out with like in my early 20s, and I remember that what was even happening then, like it was something like relating to the time that she was supposed to, at that time I was dabbling with makeup already. And then, do you know what I used to charge for bridal makeup? 30,000. And I remember like the time for her wedding came up, and obviously because I was like a makeup person, they were like, oh, that I was like, okay, this is how much I was charging, but I was even saying, no, I'll give a discount. It now turned into like a thing of like, why would you even be charging me in the first place to do your makeup? Do you understand? This person was saying, why would you be charging me money to do your makeup? No, girl, like, listen. So for me, it now turned into, okay, if it was like a budget thing, or like you like this was an area that you just really wanted to cut expenses on, we could have an honest conversation and be like, see, Dimma, I can't afford to pay right now. Do you understand? I'll be like, okay, no problem, I'll do it for you. But then the conversation quickly went from, oh, that to, oh, it's because you're getting married and she's jealous. It goes south really quickly like that. No, I promise you, that was how that relationship ended. That it's because you're married and she's jealous, and you know, like it's because this good thing is happening for you. Why would it turned into that really quickly, and that was how that relationship ended. So what I'm trying to explain is that sometimes society encourages it, and even for people who enter, or like, because wedding planning can be a bit intense, and even if there are areas of it where you don't particularly agree with someone, instead of encouraging honest conversations around it, what immediately begins to happen is assumptions of, oh, it's because she doesn't wish you well. And sometimes you would even see like older people encourage young people and say, oh, now that you're married, you don't want these young unmarried people coming to your house because your husband is clearly a goat without a wing. So that if they show up, you don't want them tempting your husband. Yeah. So like society actually encourages things like this.
I have a friend who's older, and she was telling me one time about, because I asked her, I was like, have you ever been in a situation where somebody has implied something because you're unmarried? She's like, I'm see, I see trouble. She asked her friend came to ask her for advice about her kid. She gave advice. The woman disagreed with her and said, but I wouldn't even expect you to understand. Gosh. So she was waiting for her to complete it, thinking that maybe her friend would come back to her senses and catch her.
No, that was it.
I said, no, I don't expect you to understand.
That was it.
Because, when you're married and you have children, so she now jabbed her 2 times. That's why you're married and you don't have a kid.
This thing is reminding me of things. This is reminding me of things that I actually saw. Because I remember, like, there was even another situation again. I remember, like, it's things like this and they're saying, oh, you cannot expect them to, oh, you cannot do this, oh, people, like, I'm just like, bro. And this is how a lot of these friendships die down. Please, if you're friends with somebody, primary school, secondary school, I don't care what stage in your life that you met this person, even after all of that, you can still maintain the connection that you guys have. And if anything comes up, just address it in a very direct manner and don't go and start assuming that it's because of one thing that does not make sense or the other. I think, and I also feel like it's lazy and it's an easier route to take instead of actually facing like what is going on and maybe the part or the role you played in what is going on and whatever feelings it has stirred. It's easier for you to say that it's something else that is causing it.
Exactly, 100%. Okay, this person is asking, how did I get into reading books? My family. So I went to I'm a big proponent of Montessori early child education. I went to a Montessori school. What the hell
is that?
Montessori schools, like, they learn, it's like they feel like children learn.
Because in Enugu where I was, I don't know what Montessori is.
Montessori is a style of learning, so they feel like children learn.
You not know that word. I come across it a lot, but I've actually never given a lot of.
It's just a method of. It's like this lady who came up with a method of teaching children, and she felt that children learn through a lot more interaction. Like, a lot.
So with those type of schools, that is what is encouraged.
Yeah, so you don't learn ABCD. They are the one. She's the one that started the. So it helps with your diction. Like, so it's like a whole thing. And I think because of that style, my parents were very young and I think they were very keen. So the school they would tell them that the children need a lot of home enrichment. You need to interact, you need to read to your child.
So they were getting a lot of
So my parents did that a lot, and then I just got into it because this was again pre really the internet age, before mobile phones. You either played outside or you found ways to amuse yourself as a child. So reading was a big thing. My grandmother was a teacher, so she would actually make us read things out to her. Like, she just enjoyed it. Like, she would, like, for her it was like a bragging thing. Like, she would give you something and maybe like somebody is around, she would say, come and see how my grandchild can read very well. And so I got into reading like that. And then when my parents realized I loved reading, like, to that extent, they made it like a reward system for me. So it was like, if you do well, we'll buy you this book. On Saturdays, I had a friend who had at that time, what we thought was a very rich relative. And he was the first person I saw who had a library. And his daughter had like 4, and she used to read the books. I was very confused. She had like 4
section shelves,
4 shelves there, not even shelves, like full wardrobes, full, and in Blighting, Penguin books. So it was a thing. Me and my best friend at the time, Tenny, would go to, because it was her cousin's house, we'd go there, and she allowed us borrow 4 books at a time. Hey, it was like heaven to me, like, at the time. And then it just continued like that. That's how I got into reading.
But then it just shows like how intentional the adults around you were.
100%.
Like, even with introducing you to this thing, and then when they saw that you had caught on, like, actually fooling it. It's very, very important. I started reading in SS2 through the path of romance. What are you talking about? No, actually JS3. By romance, and by SS2 I was a full-fledged reader. But my mom used to have a lot of. Funny enough, my mother came into my father's house with plenty romance novels. Okay?
She was young,
and to the point where I remember at a point, my mom used to have this store in Enugu, and where people would come and buy stuff. And then at a point, she just created a shelf. She said she had a lot of books and she wanted to start renting them out. So she created a book club system where you would pay, you take the book for this long, and then you bring it back. And then she started this, I think, 2003-ish. So I came back from like a vacation, something in January, in JSS3, sorry, and I picked up a Harlequin like novel, and that's it too. I started reading, and it was like a challenge, and I read it, and I actually started it, and I finished. I was so proud of myself because I didn't find reading to be something
exciting.
Yeah, but then I knew one thing for sure was that at least by the time I turned 13, I know that I loved romance, anything. Movies, TV shows, I would love it if there was romance involved. So when it was curiosity, I was like, okay, I love romance. Let me see if I can actually read a romance book. And then that was how I started. So I was even sneaking around reading it. My mom didn't know that I was reading her like romance books at the time. Then I start reading, and when you're in school, you start seeing other people who are reading the same thing that you're reading. And before you know, people start exchanging books. And so by the time I was in SS2, my friend Uche, who came here, we did an Igbo video together. We used to exchange romance novels then. And that was how I actually started reading.
Nice.
Prior to that, it wasn't something that I'd say, but then the more I actually enjoyed it, the older I got, I actually started exploring other genres aside like romance. So, yeah.
Mad. This person asked about base level financial advice to grow wealth in this country.
Jola will go first.
I think now there are 3 things I wish I knew. The first thing was like your passion is important, but what you are able to master that makes money is also important.
Yeah.
So like I think a lot of people are looking for what is sexy to make money. So the first thing is like look for what is legal, what you can do legally, what your conscience can carry, and then also think about stuff that makes you like solid money. It doesn't have to be sexy. It doesn't have to be like a fashion business or do you understand what I mean? Like some people are doing businesses that are very unattractive, but just because they are diligent and they focus on it and they build the right networks, do you understand? Like it doesn't have to be like a sexy business, like you're doing hair, you're doing makeup, something that is Instagram friendly. It doesn't have to be that at all. I think you need to think about what does the world want export wise that you can do. It's not always about content creation. Do you have like transferable marketable skills? Is it about doing so for people that are in like finance, for instance, do you have to do sort of like international exams that mean you can start providing those services across borders? Things like that. Is it being a middleman? Is it being so I found out from a friend yesterday that her skincare brand, she's not a cosmetic scientist, so she knows what she wants the product to do. So she goes to meet them.
The people who formulate.
They don't have any interest. All this branding, marketing, no concern them.
All they are interested in is the formulation.
But their money comes in standard because it's not only her that goes to meet them for formulation.
You
there
see
are
that
many people
with candles. You see that with skincare. A lot of them do it, and they even I've even had some of them even approach me sometimes and be like, they will do the whole formulation, blah 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 for you. All you need to do is to slap a name on it or slap a brand on it that people So
things like that are things.
And you would not even think about, because when people think about skincare, they think about doing everything from the ground up. Whereas there are people who do a big part of it for you, and all you have to do is to now take the branding seriously and the marketing seriously.
Yeah, like I also think that there are also basic businesses that just don't go out of fashion. Like a lot of my friends are in the cooking business, food business. They get problem. The only problem is usually like
because people will always
costing. The costing. They went to the market, things are a bit more expensive. But once they figured out their wholesalers, their audience, who they're trying to cater to, particularly the ones that don't do all this fancy food, they are doing stew,
like just rice,
big bowls, just
fried rice, jollof, moi moi.
They target you're a working mom, or you're a young person who just doesn't want to cook. They have weekly.
They outsource.
And so there's some things, again, that kind of work is not fine work, it's not sexy work.
But then it's also making a lot of money.
It's making you steady money.
Consistently. Like some of the things I even started learning like now is that I just wish that maybe like earlier that I had I also don't want to say investing, because when I say investing a lot of the time and people ask me questions around investing and how to grow your money and all of that, we always most of the time imagine very, very big things. But there are small things that even I ask, because I think that Jola really covered the business, actually the process of starting something or putting into something and then consistently going at it in order to actually generate the money. But that to grow it sometimes does not always equal business expansion. There are small things you have to do, because I remember Like there are things you hear and hear and hear. And I remember recently, like me and my partner, like he recently introduced me to mutual funds. And
oh yes, actually, why didn't I say
you know,
that?
small things, like he introduced me to mutual funds, and like there are even banks that allow you to do it directly from your application, and then over the years it equals like something like very, very, very significant.
Yeah.
And these are things that we don't talk about enough.
Other things, mutual funds, there are things that help you with life insurance, stocks, because so things like life insurance, some people don't realize is everybody thinks that growing wealth means you come and you sit down and you use your brain to come up with one idea nobody has thought of. A lot of stuff has to do with what Dimma says, investing over time, and making sure that your children are not starting from scratch all the time. Life insurance is not about you. It's about the people that are coming after you. So if anything happens to you, God forbid, or actually, when am I saying God forbid? Eventually, all of us will leave this planet. It means that you've taken care of your family to the extent that they're just not starting from scratch. Do you understand what I mean? Like thinking about home ownership in the long term, does it favor you or not? Thinking about like you said, wealth management in small ways. So you're right, maybe it's not even about starting a business, it's about looking at going to speak to a financial advisor, to be like, this is what I'm looking at
really
now.
open your mind. And like I said, there are apps, I keep doing this because I have to, but there are apps, and then there are like banks that give you this option, like you do these things, like, and it's like sometimes just like an automatic debit that they do monthly, or sometimes you just invest. And because I think that when it comes to also people talking about savings, we always think about the piggy vest type, like lock your money away type. They are also like ones that actually kind of exercise your brain and make you weigh the odds, and before you know it, you get better at these things. And I think that they are the people I envy the most in this life. Like I remember the last time I was on their podcast talking about this babe that had houses and they were now trying to husband was paying rent to her. Do you understand? And these are things that she came by just from inheriting, like from her family. This was money that came to her heavily that way. Do you get? So
those things are important.
Very, very important.
Okay. Someone says, has my cutting my hair changed my perception on beauty? Not necessarily, but it made me realize just how bound by like a lot of societal conventions people are.
Yeah.
You know, if you know me, you know that there's a lot of stuff that I think I got to my mid-20s and I just felt like I wanted to have my opinions on everything. I wanted to know what I thought about things. I work in media, and media is one of the places that exposes you more than the average to a range of the ways people present themselves and decide what is beautiful, and how private tastes and decisions become public. So it wasn't about me. It was more like how a lot of people are bound by convention, and they feel like constricted by it and don't realize, so they react very negatively when they see people doing things that
there's almost like a herd mentality, I would say, around this one area. So what people would even say they perceive as beautiful is not even like, if you sit them down in a corner and say why, it's not about what they personally find appealing. It's about what society has said generally is appealing. I just feel like that's because this whole media thing that Jola was saying, like I feel like it ties in really strongly to that. So when you, let's say if you do something as big as cutting your hair, you can cut your hair and then you look like Naomi Campbell and you look so amazing, but then somebody will react so negatively to it. And why? It's not even because they're not like objectively, they actually think that this thing suits you. It's because maybe in their village they said you don't cut your hair until somebody dies, or that when
somebody asked me if I'm mourning.
Oh yeah, standard. Do you understand? And that's in so many ways.
I was wearing all black that day.
It doesn't matter, Jola.
No, what I mean is that like when I think about how people they like what our society,
they put themselves in a box where, because this is what everybody already assumes or thinks it is, like I don't know, like society stresses me out sometimes, but like I feel like a lot of people are not able to move beyond what they know is generally like is a generally conventional, like, or generally accepted, like line of thinking, to actually establish theirs. And it constricts things even when it comes to like beauty, when it comes to hair. I remember one time I went up on Twitter and I was talking about how people can be so about like hair, and we're so obsessed with length retention at the expense of every other thing that comes to do with our hair health, even our edges. You see somebody's edges like is like at the back of their head, but then if they can manage to pack that back in a bun, they've achieved something. You know, so
there are multiple questions here asking me about why I don't talk about my relationship, who is my man, 1 thing to 10. I'm very public facing about it. Like I'm quite easy. I'm an open book, but I've always felt it's one of two things. Is the fear of shame. I'm not going to lie. Like
anybody that says it's not the fear of shame, I don't think that they are being very honest.
The first thing is fear of shame. Like I really like taking my L's in private, particularly personal L's. I can take a business, like if something goes, like if maybe a business breaks down or
I understand it, yeah.
I don't mind that being public. If people are making fun of me about like the way I look, my hair, my face, my body, I actually don't mind. But I think I'm quite vulnerable emotionally, and so I if anything goes wrong, that's the first. And second thing is, I've always been attracted to quiet men or like slightly a bit more private people, and so until they are following you does not mean they now want to be they now want to be outside. And I would like to have them to have the option of something starting and ending in private, so that their life is also not that's Jola's ex. Is that not the guy that was with Jola before? I think that's the second thing. And third thing is, you should mind the damn business. After everything I tell you people, I can almost tell people the color of my pants. I tell people everything. It's still not enough.
But this is one area. I completely agree with what Jola has said in this one area, and her thoughts on it are very, very similar to mine. That whole taking L, like I've seen people who have moved on, like who date publicly. Whenever they're in a relationship, you're going to know they post. And I'm not even talking about Nigerian people, I'm talking about Oyibo people, right? And every single time you see that they move, people are in their DMs constantly reminding them or even trying to compare their current partner to the previous one. You know, it's a very, I don't see how that, and you get to know that they are doing this because at a point they get so frustrated and they talk about it. And you'll be like, why is somebody even doing something like this to anybody in the first place? So you can control your own reaction and the way you move on. You can even like with the way people who you have around you physically in real life, like how they move on from the situation. But people online, they're always a wild card. They're always a wild card. You can never say that you trust anybody to behave themselves.
Yeah.
That's one. Two, the same thing that Jola also said about like being very attracted to like more personal, more reserved. It's also the same thing with me.
I think when you're like a woman that you have you have power, you just it's like, normal to kind of it's look for someone that's a bit more.
Some people also just
steady.
like people who are on the same like wavelength as them, and they would like to even be with people who are in the same industry.
How can I do that?
I know, but me too, I can't.
How?
But I remember, for example, like my engagement vlog, like leading up to it, like I was vlogging the way I normally vlog when my boyfriend is there. Like I'm not showing him until the snippets where the Instagram proposal video. So I inserted it at a point in that vlog, and that was the only place that his face showed.
Yeah.
Some people, I had to delete and block some people on YouTube because they were like, that why was it only that part? Or why am I hiding him? Trying to say stuff.
Okay, I'm ashamed. Beat me.
Do your work.
Okay, I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed.
And I think that following it, people also assume that now that I have said that I was
you will not be everywhere.
That you will now be. It's not like you people don't understand what's going on. So it's everything that Jola has said, and sometimes you can love somebody so much to the point where you want to share. But then if you also sit down and remember that the people who you're sharing with, sometimes a lot of them, at least let us say 80% of them wish you well. 20% of them you cannot really predict.
No, but even apart from that, like you also, I do think it's a weird thing when you're like either like an influencer type or a podcaster, or you have some part of your life is public. There's a thing where you actually have to remember that you're not obligated to share your whole life. It's very hard.
It's not even about remembering. You also have to remind people that you're not obligated
to share your whole
life.
Like, it's not, and it's also not healthy. It's not good. But I've said, okay, I'm ashamed. Yeah. Do you know why I'm ashamed? Maybe you people don't know. Nothing is even happening. Do you know? I'm always amused that nothing is happening. Hey, my life is not that exciting.
But you might be thinking that because it's not exciting, they don't want to see people who want gist at the end of the day. Sometimes people who also love you, they are so invested in the mundane that you might think that this is not worth sharing, but they will actually consume it wholeheartely. Yes.
I know they are big. Thank you so much, NTA. I appreciate. Thank you. I know they. Someone asked, do two of us ever run out of things to talk about? Never. Dimma, by ourselves, we can start a radio station. Hey, we can talk.
Actually, never ever.
We can talk
ever.
From if Dimma opens door, I'll just start. She, before she has even put her leg, I've said like 5 things. We are all. We can talk.
It cannot be me and Jola.
Dimma and I, we don't cut the phone on. Is that somebody has to do something? We are always talking. Even if it doesn't even make sense. Hey, and they painted our house white. Why not yellow? Could it be green? Is a better color. Hey, I was thinking maybe I'll buy another wig from Chrissy. Hey, which color will you? We can talk.
This is making me laugh. Hey. This actually reminds me that I have to host again. Actually.
Yes, I know. We talked.
Maybe next week.
I never feel bad about. I have friends that I like talking to because I don't feel bad because
like when you leave.
Yeah, do you understand? Because that there's some people that and it happens to me sometimes where you leave after being with somebody, you be like, it looks like I didn't shut up. But they're pointing this whole thing like I was doing the bulk of the talking. But there are people who match my energy like that. Me and this
one. This person said, did you tell me about your engagement before you shared it on the internet? Of course.
I called Jola.
She called me straight.
At the very I called Jola
on location. I just saw something flashing in my eye.
Jola was on her bed with was it a bonnet or cap?
I want big bonnet.
Big bonnet Jola was wearing.
And I called this babe. And at first she wasn't sure. Jola started screaming.
I just started shouting. She started shouting her name, her fiance's name.
She said, where is he? Where is he? Go and give him the phone. And I went to give him the phone. Jola was like, you've done well. I was like, Jola is crazy. But yeah, I called her.
Yeah, no, that was that. I felt so. I remember I was just so happy. I was so happy.
Yeah,
because
the way she screamed.
No, because like when your friend is happy and you can see it. It made me so happy. How did we find our style? We both dress amazing. Oh, thank you.
Very sweet.
Thank you. That's very sweet. So I developed very early. Like my breast, I feel like between 12 and 13, my breasts, I went like 4 or 5 sizes.
That's interesting because I was so flat chested. No,
by the time I was 16, I was a 36 double D. It's crazy. Like my breasts were very big and very uncomfortable. But it meant that I never really got to have how there's like a phase where you're like a teenager and you can wear
crop tops.
No, like my body became a woman's body by the time I was like 14.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, a lot of the clothes that my mom, because my mom used to shop for me, she used to buy me what she thought were like modest but appropriate clothes, and so I looked a little strange actually. Like I just looked like someone that was going for youth meeting in church all the time. Like I feel like that's what I always look like because my mom dresses quite like that's her style anyway. But it wasn't.
But cool. I think we all go through that stage because there was a stage where I know that in my life my style was heavily what my mom gravitated towards. Do you understand? Like she would go even down to the suits, to the sunglasses we were wearing in family portraits, were the things that appealed to her. Yeah. It wasn't about what was happening at that time for people our age. It were just things that she was drawn to. So I think that it tends to actually be like that.
But then I started looking at, so basically how did I find my style? I'm not like a fashionista. Some people can put things together and their own is always getting. That's not me at all.
I actually admire people like that.
Yes, I follow a bunch of them on my Instagram. But even still, I can never, the one babe I saw, she wore shirt and trouser. She now said the difference between styling and dressing and styling. I said, you never style. She now brought it was actually like a dress. What she was wearing was like one of those button shirts. She can't wear the dress on top, the shirt, tuck the back, she not tuck the front. With the jeans, she now wore something on the. I said,
did she look good at the end of the day?
Amazing. In my life,
how do you get to that place?
If I wear that kind of thing, people, if I could get here, they don't say, Jola, what happened? What happened? What happened? Like for the life of me, the way some people put things together, I'm not that person. Yeah. I follow people who have my body type. Yeah. A lot of people that have my body type, and then I started gravitating towards colors I like, and then the things I like. I'm not someone I like easy dressing. I don't like clothes that when they say when you get there you can't eat, you can't sit, you can't breathe, or to put it together you must. No, I like quite easy things. So part of it is boo-boo. First of all, I started wearing a lot of boo because I gained weight. No big rich auntie anything. I became fat during lockdown. All I was doing was eating and writing my And so I was wearing bubbles a lot. But then I like the colors, I like the styles. And then I just started looking at things that I actually like wearing that don't stress me out. That was how I found my personal style. What does it stress me out? And it fits with my personality, like quite easygoing. Anything you see that is... But now I have like stylish friends. Like Layla is extreme. Like
Stylish.
Layla will just sit down. She'll say, okay, wear this one and wear this one. I would never put it together. So sometimes if people see some things, they're like, say na Layla joined them. It's not me. It's not me. It's Layla that joined it here.
For me,
How did you find your style?
For me, to be honest, I think that I went through this phase where I would buy things because I felt like they were in, right? They like they were in at the time. People were wearing it, like just going off of what I'll see in magazines and stuff. Like there was this market in Enugu called the Wetemi Market. Like I would go there, like I knew all the innermost shops where they like all the people that used to pack jeans in trailer. Like I used to go there and I'll take my time and I'll buy things based on just things. Oh, this looks like this thing I had seen on the TV and whatever. And I actually had a whole phase where I just got frustrated and I started getting very critical about my body. Like why does none of this always ever look as well as they look on this
on
person?
other people.
And that was a point where I actually did some reflection and I took proper inventory of my body and I realized just what my shape was.
Yeah, like
and
you have very beautiful long legs.
Yes, I have long legs. My torso is not necessarily short. I also don't have very wide hips. And then like around that time when you actually realize what your body type is, the first thing I did was I went on Google and I put that body type in just so that they will show me popular celebrities who I'll see every day, but when I wasn't thinking body types when I'll think about them, like who has this body type, and they start showing me a list of people, and then you now begin to look at them and you realize, oh, and then that's like, like that's why me and Fashion Nova I never gel, like all these things where. And I think that is even happening on Instagram, I'm seeing right now, where a lot of vendors are not necessarily even selling clothes, they are selling the model's body. And a lot of people who are not shopping consciously are not even aware. And like you buy
get so frustrated.
Yeah, you get so frustrated because you buy this thing based on how it looked on another person, but the person you're looking at probably has a very short torso, has maybe legs that are shorter than your own. For me,
wider hips, a bigger bum.
Studying the body became a very, very important thing for me, especially considering my height as well. I'm tallish, I'm 5'10". So even like I cannot go on ASOS now on a lot of websites and shop without actually going to that. There's always a description section on the page where it shows you the model's height and the size that the model is wearing. I cannot shop or buy anything. So you can see something palazzo pants and then the person is palazzoing on his 5'6" or 5'4". That's the height of the model. You already know that by the time that thing gets to you, it's going to be jump up. Do you understand? So for me, my style or actually establishing it or finding it, it came with me studying my body and understanding and accepting my body for what it is, right? So outside of that, no, so I know what my core like basics and staples are in my wardrobe now. Like I know that I need to put together a whole look. But then aside that, I feel like for me, like Jola also kind of hinted on, comfort is a core factor. Anything, like I could live in baggy clothes and I know how to style baggy clothes. Like, and because I'm also tall, I feel like I believe that I have a frame that carries those type of clothes well. So for me, I also don't want, like, if I'm going somewhere, I'm sucking belly, I'm doing all those things, discomfort to know. So that's kind of how mine happened.
Okay, someone asked about what are our tastes in perfumes and what kind of fragrances do you like to buy? I actually, today I was looking at it, I was like, I have too many, like, perfumes. Because so the thing is, I'm very, very simple. I don't like floral fragrances. I quite like fruity, strong type, like sweet. So
just
smelling,
like my sister.
Yeah, I like really sweet smelling fragrances. I don't like the only one that they say, oh, it's like a unique scent. What's now? I don't know. I like to smell. I like people say, oh, what's that? So like I like a sweet smelling, like not too soft and floral, but like just like a sweet, like lots of like. If you check the things I like quite fruity. I like Kayali because she does a lot of like fruity scents. I like and then also like I don't know when people like to be unique. No, I'm not there. The one that if yours is nice, me I like. I remember one time someone was like, oh, you like black opium. I said it is sweet dye. What are you talking about? It's a nice. I like very like.
So what was your problem with black opium?
They tried to tell it was just common. It was common. I said okay. It's common.
Yeah,
I know that's what she said. She said it's quite common.
No, I don't. Like I'm also not like that. Like if a perfume is very, very popular, like if I like it, that's all that matters. To be honest, like I wouldn't also say that because I like something because it's common, that would steer me away. So for me, I really love floral scents. I've said that a lot here on this channel. I'm not a big fan of fruity scents at all, especially if it's very, very fruity. There are very few fruity ones that I know that I've actually liked and finished, but I'm not a fruity person. My sister, like, I remember when we were growing up, I was a floral girl. Norma is a fruity person.
Norma is my baby. Hi, Norma.
So I love florals when they're light, when they're more of like a statement fragrance. I love it. So for me, I just say I love florals because even perfumes I don't normally gravitate towards. If something is fruity, but then it has a very strong floral note, I find it bearable, right? Even with ouds, like I love when ouds, like any perfume that is like an oud rose, I love.
Yeah, like an undertone of florals.
It balances it out. So for me, I love florals a lot.
Someone here is saying that she's living an answered prayer, but she currently feels like undeserving. Yes. What do I do? I think you need to remember that if God has answered a prayer, something you asked for, the next thing to remind yourself is to live in like gratitude. Gratitude is very, very hard to remember. Like it happens to me a lot because sometimes I'll be working at something and by the time it's happening, I've forgotten how much I was asking for it at the time, and then I'm getting impatient and ungrateful because I'm looking at the next thing and I can't remember. And gratitude is so important. Like my brother started this thing where whenever we have like family devotion, one person just has to thank God. Now you're not asking for anything, like as a family, like just because he's always saying that we need to remember to be grateful. So at the moment, like you've taken your eye off the ball and made it about like what you are experiencing, as opposed to like remember how badly you wanted this thing and just be like it's just remembering to be grateful is very hard. Just generally, also I think it's also what causes fights in even human interaction. It's easy to forget what someone did for you when you move past it. And at the time it wasn't like that. So I think remembering that this is a blessing, and also remembering that God has seen it fit to give you this thing. Don't ask. Okay, you said, why are you asking too many questions? Oh, why did you give me? Do I deserve? Whether I deserve, I don't deserve, I don't collect.
And like, so I feel like it's actually very interesting because when she started reading the question out, I actually thought, she's living an answered prayer, but she's not grateful or that she's easily forgotten or something. But this was very specific to you feeling undeserving. Why do you feel undeserving? I think that most of the time we think that God is man. I say it all the time here. Or let us say, okay, there are sins or something that you promised yourself that on God that you're going to stop doing if this thing was given to you, but then the thing has been given to you, but you find that you're still struggling with that particular type of sin, and then at the end of it you're now feeling like I'm not even necessarily a good person. Like, because you're saying that you feel undeserving means that you've gotten what you're asking for, but then again you're surprised that God bothered to give it to you. I don't know. My thing about it is that sometimes we should ask ourselves who is actually convicting us. Do you understand? Is it this feeling that you have? Is it you or is it the devil? Because what the devil does constantly is that he puts your sins before you, and then you begin to blah, blah. That's why the minute you do something wrong or you're doing something, most of the time when you feel like you start committing a particular type of sin, a lot of the time your prayer life even begins to dwindle. Like, I know that I have experienced that, and the reason why is that you're like I'm obviously doing this thing that is so clearly wrong. Like, can I even in good conscience and good faith and go and meet God? So, and at that point, what is happening is the devil is just putting your sins before you. What I would just say is just thank God and understand that God is not man. And
also, sorry, you treat the answered prayer the way you feel. So, like, you know, she's grateful, but she doesn't feel deserving. If you take care of the answered prayer in the way you think God would be happy with, or the person that gave you the. So, for instance, like if Dimma buys me perfume and I go out of my way to make sure that every time I'm coming here, that's what I use, it will make her happy. So she will know that is. So even if I say, Dimma, I still can't believe you bought it for me, or I'm saying all those things. In her mind, she's like, don't mind this one, but you still at least go out of it. So I think if you also make that a mind shift as well, like. Yeah, you're worried about feeling grateful, but you know when you're tending to the thing, this answered prayer,
actually,
it will help.
It will help you. It will help you because God's faithfulness is constantly before you.
Yeah.
God is not going to do something for you whether or not you think you deserve it. That's not how God moves. God is faithful to you too. It's not just about you being faithful to him.
Yeah.
So
Someone says, how do you deal with hyper independence as the first daughter? First of all, you date a first son. That's the hack. Let me just let me tell you, that's the hack.
let me tell you, that's actually a hack.
That's the hack.
That's the hack.
You find your senior.
Oh, listen.
You find the person that knows your medicine.
That somebody also understands responsibility just as much. And then at that point,
So
for the first time in my life, I want to be a baby girl too.
There's things that I mean, that's just something like I was joking about it recently, but it actually makes sense to that extent. I think hyper independence comes from when you're the first thing, there's nobody that came before you in the house. So sometimes with my brothers, my parents ask me what I think because they're like, oh, you've done this already, or like career-wise, school-wise. But when you're the first thing, now your parents didn't you ask? Go and ask now. You figure it out by yourself. I think sometimes with hyper independence is the knowledge that when it comes to, particularly with social things, if you come from a well-off family, like me, I've never pretended that my parents spoiled me to the best of their ability. But with some other things, they just didn't know, so there was nobody to kind of like show me what to do. That's what makes you independent. It's not that you don't want help. It's just that you realize very early that when it comes to something, there's nobody to help.
My mother has 7 kids. Between the last 3, they tax us the way FIRS taxes people. Okay, so let us say if it is something that is wanted, Mama will donate. I would donate. Like everybody before the main Oga Pata actually donates. What I'm trying to explain, and they're very, very like, okay, we're just saying, oh, this is what I want, and start saying it as much as they can. Birthday saying, but me, I already knew that. Even though Norma even had me before my parents, for me it was either will these people give me audience or do I just respect myself and manage? There was no in between. It's not a situation of aunties or cousins, because sometimes you hear about, okay, first daughters.
Even worse if you are even like an older grandchild as well.
Yes. So like you also hear sometimes where people, let's say if you even now have older cousins, when they are big extended families that are close, that they even have people who stand in as like older siblings to them sometimes, that they have some sort of relationship with. I'm the oldest grandchild, maternal and paternal. I'm trying to explain to you guys that
your own is even deep.
Listen, it was either they listen to you and give you or nothing at all. And what that does is that hyper independence, it really, really creeps in really early, because you know that if you're not getting it from here, there's really nowhere else to get it from. And you begin to practice contentment, or begin to work towards like finding a way to give what you want. Yes, at another time.
I mean, even things like you learn to play by yourself. Do you understand? You learn to
be fair, I had a Norma for that. So there's just 2 years between me and the Norma. So I never had to play alone. There was always her.
The thing is, because my brothers left the country for a while, so it was just me a lot of the time. And my cousin that I'm closer in age to lived in Ibadan. My mother doesn't have siblings. Her siblings are my age mates, and they were abroad. So I think there was just a thing of like, you just learn to like amuse. I mean, I learned to amuse myself. Yourself. I learned to self-soothe a lot. Like I'll be upset, I go sit down and cry. Jonathan, when I finish crying, I'll tell myself sorry. Like they don't know. By the time my dad has come from work, what I'm telling him is I was upset today. Like I'm not angry. Like I'll just be explaining to him that this is what happened. So by the time he's not saying sorry, my man like, the time, this is not time for that. Buy me Pringles. This is not the time. What this one you're doing now, it has passed. Meanwhile, my brothers can be upset. They are waiting for who to tell them sorry, because they are used to it. They are used to it. So I think hyper independence is learning that. Getting over it is learning that the family you choose, apart from your parents, your friends, your partner, your colleagues, they are there to support you. It's also reminding yourself of that, and not coming from a place of pride. Because sometimes when I get really prideful, like I can do it by myself, it's not even about making myself happy. It's sometimes just pride, like I want to prove a point to myself. So
I think that first children, even across genders, this is just something like for us women self, because we create these like situations where we actually even talk about these things. Like my partner is the first son as well, and I was the one.
You see what I said?
So like, because he's also used to being the one who is like, do you understand, doing, they feel like they have to carry the whole world on top of their head at the same time. And his reasons, when he begins to break it down, are near identical to my own reasons. It's just the way that
first children are always socialized. It's so mind-blowing sometimes, but yeah.
I think it's just remembering, like we said, just remembering that
Yeah.
other people are who want to. That's part of relationship. Relationship is not just about you being there for somebody. It's allowing them to be there for you.
Be there for you.
And I don't
as
mean
well.
just romantic or friendship. Like
Yeah,
there are things
friendships too.
I'll
Yeah.
ask Dimma to do for me. I'll wait for her to do it
Yeah.
because she's my friend. I need to allow the friendship work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Yeah.
How did you overcome the pressure of wondering if you'll ever find the right partner? As Dimma has left us. Thank you very much for this question.
Don't start, please.
Thank you very much for this question. Let me not lie to you. The pressure was internal very early. Thankfully, the kind of people I was hanging around, friends, and I'll say that primarily, like the social circle I chose, not even my family, the friends I gravitated towards the older I got, meant that sometimes I felt very silly putting that pressure on myself. My friend, I can't lie, and I'm not even saying this because they might say, my friends are like really hardworking, very focused people. So like the kind of women I tend to get along with
are not sitting around
babes that like
moaning about things like this.
Even if they want to be in like a fulfilled like romantic relationship, they apply probably even more focus to like career, friendship. They are very, very. You can't see. I don't have any friend that you can call consecutively 2-3 times to be crying about man. I'm looking for man. I'm that. You. By the time you get to the third one, they will be like, sorry, please. Don't be annoyed. How does this work? Do you understand? Be like, say time day your hand. It's like the money you have is enough. I think that really helped. The friends I ended up choosing and gravitating towards are people who had a very broad worldview.
Yeah.
Where a healthy romantic relationship is just one of the many things you're thinking about. Like just, and I'm not saying it to be arrogant or to make people, honestly and truly, if you're around people
there's no arrogance,
who think of the world as a very big, broad place and think of achievements in different pockets, it inspires you to continue with your life in that way. And then second, I just don't genuinely feel like any partner is worth it. Like for me, in my mind, it's not just, I don't think of relationship as like anywhere belle face. I know what is going to make me happy.
It really has to come a certain way for it to be worth considering. For it to be worth it. I agree, because even coming from Enugu, I already knew that, like before I moved to Lagos, I already knew that my thoughts and views when it comes to a lot of things were things that like people would frown on. Growing up in Enugu, like a lot of people actually got married really early. Like a lot of people that I grew up
this is true. You grew up in the East.
Yeah, 23, 24, 25. Yes. 23, 24, 25. A lot of people I know, that was around the age. As you're passing 25, you're still speaking English. I remember then, do you know the crazy thing is that sometimes I remember how we used to talk about people who got married at 27. On to say, like, they're talking about them that I don't know what she's doing. Do you get? So, I should say me 31. So you're in those rooms and you actually want to say it, but you don't say it as much. So you move out of those rooms, because for me, my trajectory was I left Enugu, then went to the UK, and I went to school, right? And then from school, no, actually I left Enugu and I came to Lagos and I did NYSC. And Lagos was like a whole different world. Not even just because, maybe the roads were bigger and there were the bigger things here, but then you actually get to meet people from all parts and you talked, right? And then from there, I went somewhere else. I lived outside of Nigeria for about maybe 2 years, and then I came back and I became more resolute. I don't know, because your mind opens up. You know, you say the things you want to say, the people you're also associating with. I'm not going to tell you that even when I started trying to make friends in the beginning, that the people who I was meeting, like Jola, I ended up at a point, and this was me now intentionally curating to people who are like Jola described. But then even here, you would run into a lot of people who, like, to them, that is
Dimma, I told you now, somebody saw me when I cut my hair, and she like genuinely was like, wow, so like, you know, considering, like, the moral of the way she couched the question was that, madam, you're 31
and you're not married, and you now want to cut your hair.
That was almost concern, and I wanted to tell her that, hey, my dear, if you know what I'm thinking about is this hair, I don't to be pouring water on my head, because it's not even about man. But you can imagine if I was just surrounded by people who
are like that.
That was what they were giving me anxiety over.
Like, there was a time, there was even this person, I remember that
it used to give me so much anxiety to the point that I remember one time that they came and said, oh, that they have somebody that they want to give my number. And I now said, okay, no problem. If you want to give somebody my number, and I remember at a point, I don't know what conversation they were having with this person. And the person I think now said, oh, I don't like all this feminist type of babes. So
Error.
hold on.
So what are you doing here?
So she now told the person, oh, but she's not one of those people. She's not a feminist. I remember the conversation. I said, please, who told you to tell somebody on my behalf that I'm not a feminist?
Hey.
It can never be that deep. It is not that deep. Do you understand? So for me, what I'm trying to say is that be very, very intentional about the people you surround yourself with, because I also know leaving this type of things to chance, or it could also just be you even being bound the same friendship groups you had when you were smaller, and you people grow older, you see that this is the way these people think, you're just going to be frustrated. I got to a point where in my life, like, I used to dream of like money in my accounts. Like, I have the balance, and it might sound funny because people come on social media and they say things like, these babes are deceiving you, these babes are, until you come and see your age mates and see what they are doing in this Lagos. You see the properties that they have. You see the businesses that they are running. They're not disturbing anybody for anything. Like, you need to actually be exposed to see what your gender is capable of. And you cannot tell me that you get exposed to those type of things and your thinking still remains that this is all I need to achieve in order to be a human being. So me, it was always like, oh, like I said, I was dreaming of account, but like, and I've said it here because I've answered this here. I got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm ready. Like, I was like, I said to God, like, I'm at a point, and this was after I turned 30, that I can stand to accommodate this type of thing now. I feel like I know and understand myself well enough. Do you understand? To entertain something like this truthfully for what it is. Do you get? And I think that is the thing. And don't let external. It's not like as in all these things I'm explaining. It's not like the pressures were not there. It's not like family members were not passing comments. Like, you go back to the village, somebody will hold your shoulder. Hell, I'm praying for you. In a very hard
and you know what they mean. You know exactly what they mean. You know exactly what they mean.
You know what they mean. To the point where it used to make me so angry. But like I also told you people in a video that I did recently on marriage, which I'm also going to have linked in the description box, is that when people now I begin to cry. I cry along with you, because you need to understand that it's not like I'm not worried about these things too. But what happens, or what I feel like crying is a very, very good way to disarm.
Very nice.
No, to disarm at like them, because
this one she's crying.
I'll cry. Like, you come, yes now, Jola, I think it's a joke. They come and be like, oh, like, and I say, you don't even know what's going on. You don't know what I am seeing. It reminds me of the tweet. I will cry. By the time you come, you think you came to attack me, you will tell me sorry. You will leave the conversation truly feel, I'm praying for you. Don't worry, God will do it. Amen.
I like that style.
I'll tell you that maybe it's your own prayer self that God will use to change the whole thing.
I actually like that style.
It is. Like, so you just clean, you go and rest. So, and don't also fixate too much, because there's something I also think that's a recurring thing with these questions where, like, I feel like people get worried to the point where they can't move past that place, like mentally. I know that before I started, like, I met my partner, people used to say that when you stop thinking about it is when it will come. Or like when you're actually not bothered about relationships, like something actually happens. And I don't believe that is completely true, because you can be very, very intentional about it. But funny enough, I fell into the category of,
well, that's true actually,
of not giving a shit. I remember being at a conference call with Norma and Christabel one day in the room where it was a board meeting of trying to convince me to actually be talking to, like, at least they'd be like, it's to take your mind off things so that you're not worried. It's not like he's asking you for anything big, do you understand? But just talk so that you're not worried about things as much. And that's it. Because at that point I wasn't like, it's not him, it's just that I didn't think that I was in a good place to be doing anything, accommodate like a relationship. But
that's good. Somebody asked me this question, and normally I would know. This person say, how old are you? I'm 31.
31.
And then this person says, when do I plan on giving birth? Hello.
They're very like, when do you plan on getting married? When do you plan on giving birth? When do you plan on giving birth? When do you plan on getting married?
I'm not getting any plan.
How many children do you want to have?
Do you know when I was I've said this thing before now. I don't know if it was on the podcast. When I was like 13 or 12 or something, I wanted to have 7 children. 7.
Eh?
Imagine me. The younger me did not know who the adult me was going to be. But that's, like when you're socialized to want certain things and to think of life in a certain way. That's what I thought now.
Funny enough, I think that maybe I was like that. But you know what? Because I come from a large home.
That's why you don't need to want. You don't see them before.
The thing about it actually is that if you actually talk to my siblings individually, some of us come from that situation, our main takeaway is it cannot pass to us.
And now
some of us, our main takeaway is that we want this exact same thing that we have here. So it depends. Me, I'm just among the people that it cannot pass.
First ones don't ever want big family. How you want to do it?
You don't want big family too.
No, I think so. Again, because I realized, one, this thing is not in my control. Two, I'm actually now almost the opposite. I think of children as like such a huge responsibility.
That you have to be very intentional.
I'd rather be in charge of like a company.
Not something you just have because the way society encourages, just have it and get it done with.
Whenever people ask me what I think about children, let me not lie to you, it depends on the person I marry. First of all, I'm not marrying for children. If I do get married, I'm not marrying for children. I'm marrying because I found somebody that the two of us want to be roaming around being stupid together. That's what you are. We want to be following ourselves, doing stupid things, laughing. That's what I'm. So if I see this man and he sees me, and maybe his own plan was, he wants to marry primary caretaker. Me, I want to marry primary caretaker. So both of us would now be doing uncle and auntie to many. I'm not going. I know I don't have plan. It's when I see the person I want to marry, I'll know how I want to do it. But that I'll be calculating children.
And that's actually
for them to live for who?
That's a very good. That's a very, very good answer.
Children, you cannot live inside fridge and say, sorry, I'm coming. Let me just go and do something.
And I think that for me, because my mom had a lot of kids, like my last two siblings, my mom had them when I was 14 and 16. So when I'm trying to explain,
those are your children now.
Okay. So it's not. I remember like when, and I don't know if I've said this here before, but I remember when my friend Fejiro had her first child, and she was talking about so many surprising things that infants used to do. To say she's so shocked that she did not know. In my mind, I'm like, boy, I already know.
Yeah.
Do you get? And it's just because of like how I grew up and the kind of environment. So for me, motherhood is a very real thing. Like the difficulties around it is a very real thing. I saw it up close and personal. Postnatal depression is actually a very real thing. Prenatal depression is a very real thing. When you get to observe these things and see them for what they are, you're a bit like Jola says, like it's not just you just saying in theory, I want 7 children. You begin to understand that there are so many things that come with them and so many things that actually come with even pregnancy.
Even people say, the grandma. People say, my mom is a bad bitch. She will not. Someone that is still entering pencil skirt to go to work. Where will I drop?
Her body is.
Where will I drop?
Jola's mom is a proper baddie.
Who will I drop baby for? Please. Someone that works in investment bank. Who will I drop the baby for? Like I don't have senior sister. I don't have even junior sister. I don't have. My brothers. Hey, look, I have to know this thing. I have to know I'm going to do it. If I'm not, honestly, like if you're thinking, because maybe some people say, no, you just, you have
don't think about it too much.
Which of the village?
If you think about it too much, you actually don't
my grandma don't die. Which of the village? The 2 grandmothers said they've gone to enjoy themselves. So which of the village? My mom would just be like, oh, wow, and I have a meeting. Okay, so how do we do it now? No, I think the thing I actually wanted to answer was the question about like age is important. So like if you actually want to be a mother and that's a priority for you, you actually genuinely have to think about it. Yeah. People try to like be because they're trying to encourage people, sometimes we brush over it. It is true, like when you're in your 30s, you actually have to start thinking quite actively if you want to have children because we are on a clock. Men unfortunately are not on the same type of clock. We are on a clock. But I do think that can be the driving force based on this age and there are many ways to be a mother. You may not get your first choice, which is having your children biologically, if that's what it is for you. But there are many ways to be a parent. There are many ways to care. There are many ways to love. There are many ways to be impactful. And you can't allow this fear of age be a driving force.
I just feel like fear is never a reason to make any type of decision. Even outside of this, fear is never the reason why you should marry somebody because you are scared that if you didn't marry this person, nobody else will come.
It's me they should be afraid to marry.
Any decision you make based on fear. And I remember even in the video that I did with Mazino, there was even someone there was a question on celibacy and sex before marriage and all of that. And Mazino answered it in the way that we both know that Mazino would answer it, right? But then I remember that my main takeaway and everybody's main takeaway, especially with the way she beautifully put it, was that at the end of the day, because it was about like pressure, because she was saying, oh, what if your partner is just saying that he can't do it? Do you understand? Like he can't do it, so you feel like, oh, to hold on to the person, you have to do it. So Masina was like, that is never a reason, because Masina was just saying stuff like, and that, and this is for a very, very, this question came from a very, very Christian like angle, right? And Masina was now like, I love the way she broke it down, because she was like, you will still have points in your marriage where it's not like you're not there, but you had a baby. Do you understand? There are so many reasons why you feel, or you're ill,
or you're tired,
or
you just don't want to,
that you cannot now do the thing. Okay, so at that point, fear should overwhelm you to the point that you're like,
say do the thing.
Yeah, do the thing. So fear should now overwhelm you to the point you're like, hey, so that he doesn't run out of the road and carry the first woman that he sees. Do you understand? So what I'm basically trying to say with this is that fear should never be the motivator for any type of serious life decision.
Fair enough. Oh, someone asked if I've beaten the record for the books I've read this year. Of course. I've already made more than 100.
I love it. Of course. I'm still struggling.
But I'm not doing that again. I've realized that next year I'm going to make my target 10 books.
10 books in what month?
In the year.
Why?
Because it warped the way it changed the way knowing that I said I want to read 100 books. So
right.
It
put pressure.
And I didn't enjoy what he did for me. No, so I'm just going to write 10 and
that's fair enough.
Yeah, but I did. I've read over 100 books already. Hey, this is an opportunity for me, you people. There's one book called Fourth Wing.
I don't know if the author of this book knows that Jola exists. The author of this book needs to come and pay Jola money, because Jola has done too much.
Wow, it's a fantasy romance novel, and I don't read fantasy. I'm not really a big fantasy fan. I read Harry Potter to feel among. That tells you how much I feel like how. But this book,
that is actually a genre that I really love, like
fantasy.
Fantasy paranormal. What is it? Fantasy paranormal. What's the other one again? There's something that they're all in one WhatsApp group.
Yeah,
I used to love those things.
I never liked it, but this book is called Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros.
Even Jola has sat me down and said, Chidinma,
you must read the book. It's really, really nice. If you guys haven't read, if you are someone that enjoys either fantasy or romance novels, or you're even trying to figure out how to get.
But is it all these books that'll make you cry?
No. No. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think. There's only one bit close to the end. I think you might cry a bit, but it's a really, really you really enjoy it. Hey, where is this question? Somebody asked me where I got my heels for the London live show. ASOS is, I tell you people, that's where like 90% of
in
fact, both days.
90% of my shoes are from ASOS, because one, they're not too expensive, and over the years they cater to different fits now.
Yeah,
wide,
slim.
like slim, and if you're also like, yeah, please, ASOS, and to the point where now like they even go on ahead to explain comfort levels. You're going to just go to ASOS, to be honest.
Somebody asked about our skincare routine.
I have a video. I'm going to have a link in the description box. My own is not long. But yeah, Jola, talk.
I wouldn't give like blanket advice. So I think depending on what you want to do, you might need to do like a consultation, and don't be afraid. Some people do consultation of 5K. It's not that much, but there's the basics: cleanse, tone, moisturize, always, sunscreen,
cleanse, treat, moisturize.
Yes.
If you don't want to tone, because that's my thing. I have a 3-step routine.
Yeah.
Cleanse, treat, moisturize, sunscreen.
And then twice a day. Make sure you want your skin clean throughout the day. So in the morning, in the evenings, you do your skincare routine before you sleep. And then if you have like problem areas, if you have oily skin or dry skin, there are treatments for that. Like it's actually not difficult, and you
do have to be consistent
and be consistent.
People
think that they need to have a 20-step routine.
No.
Also, always remember that we're black women. Your skin is not always going to be like perfectly even. We have hyperpigmentation. It's normal. You can treat it, but you're not always going to have like like that glass skin people have. It's not everybody. Also, that's not always over-the-counter treatment. Over-the-counter treatment will do the best they can do. There's this particular type of result I know people want when they're asking about these things. You still need, some people you still need to do like facials once in a while. Some people do like peels, and so don't put yourself under pressure. Just be consistent with a simple routine, and then if you have problem areas, you might need to speak to someone to help you. But honestly, I would recommend Hillary of Hillary Says or Leila El-Kadni Skin.
I'm going to get like their details and have these two people linked in the description box for easy reference.
That's how I did not find this person that said that they are a JJCU. Okay, but answer now. Okay. How do you come to Lagos and settle yourself? Me, I cannot answer you because they born me in VI. my house. I've been roaming up and down Lagos since I was a youth.
To be honest, yeah, I just also like, I can only speak from my own experience. My moving to Lagos was via the route of NYSC, or my even experience in the city at all. And I think that if you come here through NYSC, where did I not go? Where did they not post me? They posted me. Have I just told people how they posted me 3 times for NYSC? The first time they posted me to some school in Surulere, and then I went there. That did not work out. And then the next time they now said, oh, that they were posting something, and then they posted me to Ibejuleki. I went there, paid 6,000 naira taxi, going and coming back. I came back, I cried. I said, I'm not going there.
Ibejuleki. That year.
I said Ibejuleki. And I went there, I was begging them to please reject me. The man said they cannot reject me, that they are looking for coppers. I came back and I cried. But thankfully, I was reposted again, and then they now posted me to Etiosa 3, which was in Lekki here. It's the local government area just before Chevron or something like that. I'm trying to say to you people that just because of this whole posting thing now, I've covered all the parts of Lagos that matter, because they posted me to Surulere. Camp was in Yanipaja. Like, I kind of went around a little bit. And initially when I came, I was on the mainland. Like, I lived on the mainland for about 4 months before I now moved closer to my place of primary assignment. So what I'm trying to explain is that because of my age and because of I came for work, and because we would do all these excursions, like it's so different from saying somebody just moved to Lagos to look for opportunities. I moved and I had things that I had to do that actually took me around. Do you get? So if you want to move now, all I'll just say is, first of all, come and do a temporary investigation to see if you can handle it here. Look around and try to see if there's a place you can go. Like, rent is freaking expensive in this place. As far back as 2012, rent was already expensive. Everything is just expensive in Lagos. Try to figure that out, but I think that's the best advice I can give. I don't really know. And then make friends. And for me, I wasn't put in a situation, let's say I moved as just as an individual for work, right? And then you're staying with a family member and then you're now trying to make friends. You automatically get close to people because it's NYSC and camp. Do you understand? If you go to, what do you call that thing you do every week? If you go for CDS, they're like, I met Fejiro, who is literally my best friend right now, CDS. Because me and Fejiro had Monday CDS. Do you understand? Yeah. So it was easy because you had people in your age group. So for me, I think it was kind of easy for me.
Yeah, I think I
can't say that it's the same. That somebody.
It's not. Yeah. I think there's something that people don't realize. There are hacks to building community.
Explain.
So if you are moving to Lagos, if you're a person of faith, you have to make sure that you join a church or a prayer group, or and this is even online and offline. Now there are a lot of like all these. My mama now I work with that morning Zoom.
And you think that helps you with the socializing aspect?
So you start with that. Then you also decide like what is important to you in terms of community building. So I found that there are actually like different types of community. I remember that the reason I got introduced to YouTube was when I was introduced to YouTube, I started watching like Patricia Bright, and she used to reference like all these like forums, beauty, like makeup and beauty, like online, like almost like Reddits that were all about makeup and
Lipstick
stuff.
Alley. You know Lipstick Alley before I heard it turned into a gossip site now. That Lipstick Alley used to be a place where people actually talked about makeup.
So there's that. But what I'm trying to say is that you think about what you are trying to achieve when you come here, the kind of community you're looking for.
Yeah.
You have to be like very intentional now.
Yes.
Because when you're not as young anymore, if you're not like 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, your time is very accounted for.
It's also not easy.
So it's not easy.
Yes,
a lot of people have built their circle. So if you're coming here, think of like, okay, what do I want to do? What kind of people do I want to meet? I don't take it seriously because of the kind of industry I'm in, and my industry is a lot more informal. So you still make the relationships. I have people that have become friends because they joined one ICANN. And during ICANN meeting,
but do you also, Jola, hold on, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I also think that personality matters a lot, because you see this ICANN church things, like when I moved to Lagos, I was going to a church. Do you know how I used to go to church? I go, I come out. I couldn't like anything beyond that for me.
Because you had options now. You are making friends in camp. You are making friends in other things. For somebody that doesn't have at all, you have to overcome. You have to be intentional. Yes, you can't think of it as I don't want to, I don't like to. It has passed that now you need to.
Yeah.
You want to build community. So I'm not even saying you have to be obnoxious, but for instance, like if you join a smaller, people there's big churches, they are like not even a department, but they're usually like cell groups that are smaller. Sometimes it's based on age, sometimes it's based on interest, sometimes it's based on location. That helps. Do you understand? Volunteering, you will now start building a network. If you check, people become friends because they listen to what I said.
Yeah.
It will shock you, like you have, but you actually have to think about what you want to achieve, and then now make plans from there.
So just in summary, be intentional. If you want to move here outside of like school or something like NYSC, or even outside of work, let's say you're being like, what do you call it, reposted or whatever, you have to be very intentional.
This person said, Dimma, describe the moment you knew Jola was a real one, and same goes for Jola.
This is actually a very good question. Hold on, let me
I don't have any specific time though. I feel like we just gelled.
So for me, I just feel like Jola is very, very genuine. But for me, it was after the first launch that we had at Sabor, and I came out of it feeling like I could actually, she felt like a safe person to talk to.
Oh.
Actually, like I felt like I could talk to her about stuff. No, but it's actually it's a feeling. There are people that you can go and meet now and finish talking. Maybe in that one conversation, they've mentioned 10 other people that you don't know. And you begin to think about, like, this is conversation that you had. Is it even safe? Did you have it with somebody safe? But I remember that in that conversation, and with everything I even mentioned that was a bit of a challenge or a problem, Jola was quick to offer like solutions or ideas on how to navigate it, right? And I feel like I left that feeling like, and from there, like we haven't stopped since that launch at Sabor until now. So that's it.
I don't actually have like a specific thing, but it was almost the same thing. Like I felt like even if I see something in passing, like maybe we're gisting, I'm just saying, I don't know how I'm going to. I always realize that Dimma will have it in mind, and she will be like, okay, that thing, have you thought of, or should we? And it always felt like you had become like a we. How are we?
How are we going
how
to
are we?
do it?
Whether she even understands the thing or not, like and I really like appreciate that, because again, we're both very independent. So sometimes it's not even about the fact that it feels like she needs my help or I need her help. It's just always nice when you feel like your friend cares and they're trying to help you out with something or check on things and stuff like that. So it's not one, but it just felt like very early.
And sometimes it's also just to like the way our answers when just shows you that sometimes it's not a big thing. Like, and sometimes it's also like this in romantic relationships. It's not really a very big defining moment sometimes that makes you go, aha. It's the smaller things and the way they just, cumulate. Is that the right word? Cumulate? How do you pronounce that? Cumulate.
Hey, someone says, what is something we have opposite opinions about? There are many things now. I'm sure there are many things. There are many things, but this is something that is interesting in that I don't see my friendship with Dimma contingent on us agreeing on everything. What does that mean? How boring oh my God.
And you know that sometimes, Jola, people think that for friendships to actually thrive and exist, that you people must be on the same page and have or ascribe to the same ideologies all the time. I don't think so.
No.
I don't.
No. Dimma and I we were brought up very differently. We come from very different cultures. So we don't agree on everything. But it's not like I think her ideas are stupid or it's nothing like that. It's just understanding that we actually just we're
very different people, and this works for her and this works for me. And most times, outside culture and all of those other things that Jola has mentioned, there are also things that make you up as a person, things that make you thrive. And if you understand and appreciate that this gets my friend going, or this type of situation or environment gets her going, or is more stimulating for her mental, like you do that, and that's what friendship is. You and somebody must not always be on the same page.
You just have to respect and love each other enough to find ways to work around things. Someone asked like dream wedding location. My
Jola should answer this.
Anybody that made the mistake of saying that they want to marry me, my brother, before you can change your mind, I've gone to court to trap you. Nothing concern me with dream location, because I'm looking for part-time houseboy.
What is Jola talking
part-time houseboy? Some people are talking about dream location. I don't have any dream that has to do with wedding. My dream wedding, anything, is for my uncles that have money to give me check. Written to the bride, not the couple. The bride. Jola Ayeye. Yes, that's my only dream.
Ewa Olua? Is that your other name?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Enjoying the world. enjoying the beauty of God.
So people who their names are like Ewolua.
Olua is God. So
no,
something God.
I understand. I know what Olua is, but what's the
Ewa.
abbreviation? Ewa.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, they call them Ewa. Okay.
Yeah. That's what they should. That's my only anything wedding. That's the only dream I have. Money, ego, owo, kudi. Do you have dream location?
I think that because I was the first child,
Nothing
I
like
already
that.
knew that dream location. I already knew that there's no point in going to go and make myself begin to like dream and salivate over a place that I know that when the time comes they will call board meeting on my head and it might not happen.
Yeah.
So, and I remember like when I got my partner, because I already said that he's the first son as well. Like the minute that happened and I saw the way it was moving, I was like, just remove dream location for your head and enter, and just be praying that whatever everybody
can manage
is what you can manage.
For our final question.
What is wrong with you?
No, but somebody asked, do we think women can have it all? What do you think, Dimma?
I feel like the older I have gotten, I'm sure Jola answer this question first. Answer it.
I think you can have a version. You can have a version of all things, but not at the same time.
Yeah.
You can have a version of all things, but not at the same time. I even think that thing is a trap. It's how they catch us. So I think that thing of women having it all, they are doing it so that you'll be killing yourself.
Because I feel like you will now come across people who you feel like have a decent 80% and they fixate on the 20 they don't have.
No.
Or you think that like the absence of it also signals some sort of unhappiness for it. I don't know how to explain it.
Or even worse, I feel like this having it all thing is a trap to make you keep running around like a headless chicken, to keep you busy because you feel like you have to fulfill all the obligations.
So that's a fixating thing. So you could be like or you hear situations where somebody is at a place where like they're kind of split across, but things have, or let us now say they are not making XYZ. You have toddlers, and let's say that you're at a point in your life where your children at a specific age that you do not even necessarily have the time or energy to do certain things. And you see them now at this place where they are so unhappy in a way that is so heavy because they feel that them not being able to have or do that or make that at that given time means that they are failing woefully. I'm not also factoring in that time can make that easier. I don't know how to explain it, but like Jola said, you can't have it all at a given time. Like
everything everywhere all at once.
I'm sorry, did you know that movie I could not watch? I don't understand what they were doing.
It confused Shaggy out of me.
Because it was an Oscar nominee. That was when I now decided to. At a point, I slept and I woke up, and I was like, this is really everything all at once. Because I don't understand what was happening in that movie. But honestly, like I think that, and the idea that you should is what I see women like really like killing themselves over.
I think
I
think you should prioritize health and prioritize joy.
Mental
not
health,
necessarily
not just
physical, but mental.
Yeah.
But no, when I say joy, I don't mean like fleeting happiness. Like there are things that are very something that gives me joy is healthy friendships. And I know the friends that I really try and make a bit more of an effort because that friendship doesn't just make me happy, like it's a joyful thing. I prioritize a specific type of relationship, not unto I must have it all. You shall be in one jaga relationship. The man they do you anyhow. You say they do them anyhow. But so that people you can say I'm married with 3 kids. I have a company that is we're netting $1 million a year. You could just say, meanwhile, you're miserable in the company, you're miserable in the marriage, but you're just, I work out every day. You're not like prioritize. Do these things in a way that is true to you.
Yeah.
Don't think of your life as like, everybody thinks they're a Kardashian now. Somehow, everybody's watching everybody's life. That's not even true.
I don't even know, like I was having a conversation with and I was like, I don't know if a lot of people, like a lot of young people know how abnormal. A lot of things people are seeing now, or some of the expectations you people have for yourself.
It is not normal.
Like, like every time I open TikTok, come do brace of 400k with me. Like, and I think that these are things that these people are
they'll say, come with me. I'm not go.
Coming with
I'm
you.
not going anywhere.
Come with me to unbox this. I'm trying to explain to you people that a lot of these things that I'm seeing a lot of much younger women, and I get it, the ideal, and they can't buy more cash and all of that, and they're also not holding anybody by the neck. But I also have conversations, or I see conversations among young people who actually think and believe that
they are not doing well because they can't.
They're not doing well because they can't do this type of things.
Nah, it's not Chris.
Braids 400k, 500k, 600k.
Braids 400k. Like, before we go, can I just say this? There's a lifestyle trap that is actually. I'm not saying
it is unfolding in front of us.
It is not normal. Like, it's not normal.
It's not sustainable.
It's not normal and sustainable to feel like you have to be able to do your hair every week, your nails every week. You need to be able to. That is actually not like a normal thing. It's not normal to go and eat in a restaurant multiple times a week, every week. It's not normal to be able to eat whatever you want. Like, one time I was thinking, I made like a food menu and I started feeling bad. But when I thought about it, I was like, eating salmon on Monday and lamb on Tuesday. You people used to eat salmon and shrimp.
You people used to eat salmon.
What I'm saying is that the thing is that people actually feel like they are behind because they can't live a life of one. Luxury holidays multiple times a year. Although it is not.
I am
normal.
33. I am 33 years. Jola said that she's 31. There was there's a time on this channel, like, I don't even used to do my nails like that. Like, that is become a more regular thing. Is because now, like, I know that doing nails thing is like, it sounds it might be like nails, but you people should hear me out. There's so many things that I feel like I am doing now and doing more often, because some of you who have been following me for a very long time know that is not the case, and I'm able to do those things now because I have disposable income. And not just because I have disposable income, I also am at a point in my life where I just feel like it makes sense for me to be able to do. What I'm trying to explain to you people is that a lot of these things, like you doing something, waxing every 2 weeks, changing and filling your lash, even lashes now, they don't even used to do lashes of 5k in Enugu again. Lashes now, if you want to do lashes, you're talking about 20-something thousand. Like, just maintenance, the amount of money that goes into it, and you're made to feel like if you do not do these things, that you might not even attract a man.
Forget even attracting a man. Like, people actually feel like they are behind. Like, if they are weekend, they are not going to clubs.
I actually agree.
They are not going. Like, I'm like, do you know that there's some weekends where you and your friend, the money you spent is okay. You
forget attracting a man.
Watch your Netflix, buy suya, and you understand, drink
forget
gari.
The attracting a man, because
put ice block in the gari.
I wanted to add something now, because recently I was actually having a conversation with a group of boys, where men, not boys, and we were talking, and it's actually about this feeling belong more than man. Although a lot of people, a good percentage, feel that it is for them to attract a certain type of man who likes babes who look a certain type of way. But a lot of it is also feeling among more than anything else. Because I remember there was a time we were talking, I was just thinking, do you know that if you enter a room and you see a babe that is decked, designer head to toe, if a man recognizes what the woman is wearing, or these big name designers, right? Because there's also always this honest common misconception that this thing women do it mainly for men. If the man recognizes half of what you're wearing, it cannot pass 3 or 4. Let us say you were wearing it 2 or 1. These women actually do it like so for when it is for each other. Because the person who will come and catalog you from head to toe is a fellow woman.
Is your fellow
so a lot of the things that you do, we're not doing it for men when it comes to some of these things, because the men in question cannot even identify these things for what they are. It's your fellow woman, and it is that pressure of showing that fellow woman that you have actually arrived is
an outward marker of success.
Yes, it is what puts a lot of people in trouble. So my thing is, please, I am begging you people that a lot of these things are not sustainable. It's just what was the question again?
We don't go.
What was the question?
We've gone.
No, don't worry.
We're doing like this. Like this. Me and Dimma, we don't forget.
You know, we forgot what the question was. I'm screaming. You see? So, guys, basically, I know that at the point now, we started giving advice on cutting your coats. Please cut your coats.
Yes.
A lot of these things is the more you look, the less you see. And people also in Lagos. Oh, yes. That's how we ended up here. Oh, gosh.
Having it all is impossible in a situation where your attempt to have it all puts you at a disadvantage. because you are busy trying to have it all, and the man is still trying to maintain his own version.
Do you understand?
So his own all does now not include more child work, more emotional involvement, more family involvement. He just wants to stay as he is. Then you will now come and meet him.
Meet him there.
Meet him there. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. Women can't have it all, particularly if you are a non-traditional woman partnering with a traditional
man. And no matter, like, I don't believe that non-traditional men in this Lagos are more than 2.
Maybe 3.5.
Let's give them 5. They don't pass 5. They're not more than 5. They're not more than 5 in Lagos. Please, basically, rounding up, what I'm saying is that even the most forward-thinking men and the people who even believe on equal rights and all these other concepts that we're all fighting for, a lot of them, fundamentally, the way men are wired, they can be wired to be very, very selfish. So the thing is, shine your eyes well at the end. The end. We've done a lot of talking in this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not yet subscribed. I'll leave Jola's details in the description box, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye. Bye.